Okay. So those numbers are still climbing, but as we have a few more people check in here, I think I'll get rolling. So welcome everyone and good morning. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Lindsay Burns. I'm the marketing lead here at Heritage Gas. And for the purposes of this webinar today, I will be your moderator. So to help ensure we have a smooth experience for all of the attendees, we have muted everyone with the exception of the panelists today. And we encourage you to write your questions in the question and answer box that is part of the Zoom platform. So as we present, if you kind of think of a question you might like to ask, pop it in that question box. And when the presentation concludes, we're happy to do an extended Q&A period where Aaron and Jevin will answer your questions. Also, another housekeeping item, I'm sure those of you who attend webinars frequently are getting familiar with this, but we are recording the webinar today for everyone to refer back to. We're happy to post it to our website and circulate it to all of you to share with your colleagues after the fact in the coming days, so you can keep an eye open for that as well. So for those of you who don't know who Heritage Gas is, Heritage Gas is a natural gas distribution company here in Nova Scotia, and we've been distributing natural gas to local businesses, industries, institutions, and residents since 2003, and we do that by underground pipeline. We also deliver compressed natural gas to some communities outside of our pipe distribution system, and so you may have seen compressed natural gas trucks on the highways from time to time. That's what that is. So for the purposes of today, we've had several discussions about businesses and some of the challenges they face when they're trying to replace their space heating equipment, or challenges they face when they're upgrading an old oil tank, or maybe they happen to be getting questions from their insurance providers about what equipment they happen to have on site. And what ends up happening is these businesses have a lot of questions about their options, and they often find themselves faced with making a potentially large investment to replace that equipment in the coming days, months, or even years. And so we thought it would be helpful to address some of the most commonly asked questions as it relates to natural gas as an energy source, and make it a bit easier to navigate some of those different options, and hopefully try to find some solutions to the challenges that businesses might be facing. So, well, the numbers are still climbing. They're really great to see. Okay, so today to help us answer some of the most commonly asked questions about natural gas in Nova Scotia, we have two account managers joining us. The first is Erin Flaherty. Erin has been with the company since it commenced in 2003, and she knows more about the product and the company than most because she's been here since the beginning. Erin works with businesses that are inquiring about natural gas use and helps them navigate the installation and construction process. Erin answers a lot of questions, so we feel she is very well served on this panel today. The other panelist we have joining us is Jevin McClellan. Jevin is our new construction account manager. Jevin works with businesses, project managers, developers, and really anyone else who's involved in the construction of a new commercial building in our service areas. So Jevin would consult on HVAC systems. He facilitates the process to gain access to natural gas, and also natural gas for construction heat purposes, which we'll learn a little bit more about later on in the presentation today. So thank you both Erin and Jevin for joining us. So here's how we'll do this. We're going to, I'll ask a question on a slide, and then Erin or Jevin, or in some cases both of them, will answer it. So just a reminder for anyone who has just joined the call, we are recording today, and we ask that as you have questions throughout the presentation, just pop them in the question box. They'll pop up on one of my screens here, and we'll address them at the end of the presentation. So without further ado, the first question today is, what is natural gas used for? And I'm going to hand it over to Jevin to kick us off.
Thanks, Linz. Good morning, everybody. Hope everybody's having a great week so far. What is natural gas used for? I think we all are somewhat familiar with some of the basic uses of natural gas. Obviously, it helps us heat our home or our business through our boiler system. It helps us heat our water for our domestic hot water system through our water tanks. And maybe we've used natural gas powered unit heaters or chillers or rooftop units, things like that in our business. Or maybe at home we have some kitchen equipment on natural gas, like our range, or perhaps a clothes dryer, something like that, or even a fireplace or a barbecue. Also common uses for natural gas on a residential or commercial setting. So these are quite common uses of natural gas, but with the development of technology and the versatility of the fuel, we're really starting to see some more unique and efficient applications for natural gas. And one thing to highlight here would be the use of a natural gas generator. We've really seen a huge uptick in popularity for natural gas generators recently, and I would attribute this a lot to the, not only the affordability, they're coming down in price and really just as competitive price-wise as some of the other fuel-driven alternatives. But that consistent supply when you need it. When you need a backup generator, you really need that consistency, which can be provided with natural gas as a fuel source. So you have your consistency and that reliability factor as well. You have the underground infrastructure. And, with the challenges related to storms, especially lately in Nova Scotia, we've really seen folks opting for natural gas generators. They again, like the consistency and reliability. So, this is a newer use of natural gas technology that I wanted to highlight, but there's a couple other ones as well I wanted to touch on. Some photos here. Some may be familiar with the use of natural gas as a means of snow melting or de-icing capability. Be it a residential driveway or a ramp entrance to an underground parking garage, or even something as large as an airport runway application. Not only in this case are you able to bypass costs related to snow clearing, but you're also, and probably more importantly, decreasing any risk of liability and injury here. Something like a trip and fall hazard, it is more common than folks think, and snow melting and de-icing really helps decrease the risk associated with that. Things like natural gas patio appliances and features. You have your natural gas barbecue we're all familiar with, but then you have a wide range of outdoor fireplace features and things like this. They look great for shared common patio spaces and things like this. And the best part is you're not running back and forth to Canadian Tire, Costco, and filling those propane tanks or what have you. That reliability and consistency is there. Pool heaters, natural gas pool heaters, lots of options here. Common room fireplaces in apartment buildings and condo suites, really nice heat here, and certainly some natural gas options to consider. A big one is a newer big one is humidification, natural gas humidification, very popular in school settings, hospitals, office buildings, industrial process, anywhere you want want to have great air quality, certainly for your employees, but also for your equipment as well. You want that good air quality to make sure your equipment is running properly and getting the lifespan that it needs. Gas-fired air curtains, another one. You're able to, the gist here is you're able to save a ton of money on keeping the cold air out and keeping the warm air in. That's what we want to accomplish. You're able to save money on your operational costs related to heating. These are becoming more and more popular in applications where you have folks coming in and out frequently. And yeah, again, the affordability of these and payback has become much more attractive. So we're seeing an uptick in the popularity for gas-fired air curtains as well. And lastly, you have your compressed natural gas applications. We're all familiar with the Zamboni, with the ice resurfacers, but we may not know that the Centennial Arena in Fairview and as well the Sportsplex in Dartmouth actually run on natural gas Zamboni. So although that may not apply to too many folks here, it's just a neat thing to note. But in terms of fleet vehicle applications, forklifts and things like this, natural gas is definitely an option as well. So there's a couple uses for natural gas that don't always immediately come to mind, but are certainly gaining in popularity.
That's great. Thanks, Jevin. So the next question up today is, when is the right time to convert to natural gas? So I'm going to hand this one over to Erin to take the lead on. Erin.
Thanks, Lindsay, and good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us this morning. So when is the right time to convert to natural gas? Well, there's never a wrong time to convert to natural gas. However, it may be more practical for existing buildings to consider a conversion to natural gas when their current space and water heating equipment or HVAC systems are in need of replacing. The same can be said for any existing on-site fuel storage tanks. If they're about to expire or maybe have failed, you'd certainly want to start investigating that natural gas opportunity. If you're wanting to increase energy efficiencies in your building, natural gas can certainly help play a role in that for you, where it is the cleanest burning fossil fuel available. If you're planning renovations to a space or your building, maybe you have some new tenants moving in, or maybe you're trying to attract new tenants. Natural gas is something you may want to consider here. And I should also mention, lastly, with the recent spacing and occupancy limits put in place due to COVID-19, businesses in the food sector or in the food service industry in particular may want to consider a conversion to natural gas to help expand their patio season. Adding natural gas patio heaters or other natural gas outdoor features that Jevin had mentioned can certainly help extend one's patio season well into the fall and maybe even early winter, given our climate. I'll now hand it over to Jevin, who can touch on the new construction side of things.
Yeah, so with new construction, thanks, Erin. When it comes to a good time to start thinking about natural gas, certainly when it comes to infrastructure, things are much cheaper and easier to install at the new construction stage. So even if you are sort of evaluating different fuel options, it's really good to start to consider natural gas at the planning and design stage of construction. So that way you're not scrambling to try and incorporate that later on. When it comes to construction heat or winter heat for construction specifically, we're seeing more and more construction sites using the natural gas for construction heat during the winter months. Many folks like the reliability, the convenience, and the consistency of the fuel for this particular application. And really, the goal here is to be proactive. The more proactive, the better when it comes to construction heat. Last minute is never ideal, so you don't want to be pouring a concrete slab, for example, and we hit a cold snap in the middle of November and you have no heat source. So when it comes to the right time, the sooner the better, obviously, for new construction and construction heat. Lindsay.
Great. Thanks, Jevin and Erin. So our next question today is, how do I get access to natural gas? I'm going to hand this one over to Erin to take the lead on.
So our distribution system runs underground throughout various areas in HRM, out at the airport, Amherst, Oxford, and Pictou County. You can actually view our distribution system on our website under the Availability Maps section, and also those familiar with Viewpoint, you can actually go in and turn on a natural gas lines layer on that site, and our lines will appear on their mapping systems. Lindsay, I think, will send out links here at the end of the webinar in her follow-up email. Efforts to expand our system are market-driven and depend on customer interest and economic feasibility. As a regulated utility, any expansion projects must pass a feasibility test in order to gain approval to proceed. And this just ensures smart capital spend and ensures there aren't continuous increases to our rates to make up for projects that aren't as profitable as others. If a project is not feasible, we can certainly advise the contribution to make it feasible. As for the process of getting your site connected up to natural gas, Heritage Gas looks after everything up to and including the gas meter. So it's our construction crews that go out and install the service line on your property and look after the restoration afterwards. For installing the actual natural gas equipment, this would be done by your chosen gas contractor. And if you require assistance finding a natural gas contractor, we do have a preferred list of contractors on our website. These contractors are very familiar with our process and would be very happy to help you out. And while we're on the topic of our underground distribution system, I'm going to put on my safety hat here for a minute and just remind everyone that if you're planning excavation in and around your property and you're in an area with natural gas lines, please remember to request a locate. It's easily done. You can visit our website and select click before you dig. Locates are typically completed within 48 hours of the request and they're done free of charge.
Great, thank you, Erin. So Erin kind of touched on this a little bit, but the next question today is, will I have to pay to get access to natural gas? And I'm going to hand this one over to Jevin to begin to answer that question.
Yeah, so I get this one sometimes. Do I have to pay to get access to natural gas? And it's kind of a yes and no situation. So what Heritage Gas will do is absorb all costs, infrastructure costs related to the first 20 meters of distance from your property line. So if the location of your meter falls within that 20 meters, then effectively Heritage Gas would absorb that entire cost. Anything beyond that is part of what's called a customer contribution, and that is a calculation that's made by our technical planner on site when a meter location is determined, what that extra distance cost would be. So when you're thinking about natural gas and you have early stages, you have our technical planner come to the site or review the drawings and determine what that length is. They're able to come up with a price, whether it be within that 20 meters and not be a charge at all, or what additional charge would be part of that customer contribution to reach the location of the meter at your home or business or what have you. Erin, did you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, so if your building already has a gas line installed and you need additional gas meters, that's certainly something we can accommodate for you. We'd have to consult with our operations department and go from there. So if you find yourself in that situation, definitely reach out to me and I'll certainly start that process for you and get everything set up and moving along. Lindsay?
Great, thanks. So the next question is around pricing. So how does natural gas pricing work? And we're going to hand this one to Jevin to tackle pricing.
Yeah, it's absolutely a popular question. Get it all the time. What's the deal with natural gas pricing? It can absolutely be a little bit complicated. I tell folks, but a couple things to think about or keep in mind when it comes to natural gas pricing. A major component of the price is our commodity price. It's our gas cost recovery rate, our GCRR, and that's the portion of the bill again related to the commodity. And that portion is not regulated. It changes month by month based on weather and market conditions. So it is quite variable. But what's important to understand is that Heritage Gas does not earn any kind of profit from the commodity of natural gas. It's a throughput charge, and there's no markup on the price. What we pay for the gas is exactly what our customers pay. So we're quite transparent with our rates, and they are updated monthly for our customers to go on and review and see what that gas cost recovery rate is for that particular month. When it comes to forecasting, although gas procurement behind the scenes can be pretty complicated, and you have folks that are great with gas buying and procurement, I would say the overarching goal is just to try and reduce the volatility as much as possible in the price of natural gas. The more we expose ourselves to the natural fluctuations in the market conditions like the economy, weather, supply and demand, obviously the more volatility can occur. So to solve this, Heritage Gas tries our best to enter into long-term contracts with pipelines to bring natural gas into our region. And these contracts are not necessarily exposed to those market fluctuations because the pricing is fixed and agreed upon up front. So we try and be part of these types of contracts to limit that volatility. So again, although we don't have crystal balls and can tell customers exactly what the price of natural gas, where it's going and when, we do everything in our power to reduce that volatility and those pricing fluctuations and try and keep the price of gas stable as we can at all times. You know, another one is I get a lot is about pricing tiers and categories. At Heritage Gas, we have three main categories of pricing, determined either by forecasted or actual usage. So we will forecast when we have no usage history, like in the case of a new construction customer, and we'll do this based on information that we can get related to mechanical or BTUs, or general building size or comparable buildings that we can use to forecast that. You know, for an existing or non-new construction customer, we'll refer to historical usage figures, whether it be natural gas or another fuel source that we have available. Last thing on pricing, regulated versus unregulated. You know, it's important to note that Heritage Gas does answer directly to the UARB, and therefore we must operate in a way that is equal and fair to each and every customer in our system. So, you know, although we cannot offer, you know, preferred pricing to high volume or super loyal customers, what we can do is we can ensure that customers are going to always be treated fairly and never have their rates adjusted without them knowing. And a lot of our customers appreciate that. Yeah. Liz?
Thanks, Jevin. Lots of insight there on pricing considerations. So the next question is one that we hear a lot, and it is, are there any concerns about natural gas supply? And Erin will take the lead on answering this commonly asked question.
Thank you, Lindsay. I get this question all the time, and there seems to be a bit of mixed messaging out there on the answers. So are there concerns about natural gas supply? The short answer is no. Heritage Gas has a very stable gas supply from several sources. Like most of you probably know, production in the offshore had been declining and actually stopped as of December 2018. This is something we had anticipated and started entering into agreements to bring natural gas from other stable, low-cost sources from Ontario, Central Canada, as well as the United States. For example, in 2018, the Nova Scotia Utility and Review Board approved us entering into a long-term transportation contract on the Portland Express pipeline. This 22-year contract will allow us to access low-cost natural gas from this Dawn storage hub out of Ontario, which is one of the most stable natural gas supply sources in North America. And while we're on the topic of supply, as mentioned before, natural gas is delivered to homes and businesses through an underground system of pipelines. The pipe ends at the gas meter that we install to your building. Because natural gas is delivered directly to your property, it's always there ready to use 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. You don't have to worry about running out of fuel, scheduling deliveries, or having tanks or fuel trucks cluttering up your property or in and around your yard. There's no interruptions to service regardless of weather, and certainly no worry about spills.
Great, thanks, Erin. So the next question that is commonly asked are, what are some examples of gas innovations? So we're going to hand this one over to Jevin to talk about some innovations.
Yeah, so what is Heritage Gas doing to keep up with the times, innovations? So natural gas is in fact the cleanest source of energy in Nova Scotia today, and that's because in Nova Scotia we still rely heavily on coal for our electricity generation. It's around more than 60%, I'm pretty sure. But that definitely doesn't mean that natural gas or Heritage Gas gets off easy. You know, we're very committed to helping the province achieve their carbon reduction goals and net zero emission targets set by our government. So we're constantly, as a company, thinking about how we can innovate. And one innovation strategy that we're working on looks at the use of renewable natural gas, RNG, and you know, how we go about incorporating RNG into our pipelines. Renewable natural gas, you know, similar to renewable energy, it must be from a source that is not depleted when it's used. So for example, we're able to capture, you know, biogas from our organic waste, rotting food, cow manure, things like this. And we're able to clean it up and inject it back into the gas grid. Well, then we're effectively creating what's called renewable natural gas, and that's a really good thing. Yeah, so renewable natural gas is one thing that we've certainly been exploring and working with. Our business development folks and everyone for that matter have been exploring it. Another neat innovation that some may be familiar with is what's called the green hydrogen. The term green hydrogen can, you know, basically be used to describe a process where renewable electricity, like wind and solar, is converted to hydrogen through electrolysis. So, you know, the science stuff behind that can get confusing, but I think the important thing here is to know that you know, when green energy is converted to hydrogen, it can be stored like a battery, but for much longer. So we know the value of storage is great because we can use, you know, that energy sometime in the future, like on the coldest days of the year, for example, or when, you know, when energy demand is at its highest. So basically what that is a green fuel that can be extracted for whenever we want, for whatever purpose we wish. So if it's heating, cooling, process, vehicles, you know, it's very versatile in that way. You know, and perhaps most importantly, it has the ability to relieve stress on the grid, the electricity grid during, you know, periods of peak demand, and also we can even inject a portion of the hydrogen straight into the natural gas grid to effectively green the grid, so to speak. So we'd be using a blend of traditional natural gas and green hydrogen as well as a method to, you know, to reduce our carbon footprint. From more of an equipment technology standpoint, many would be familiar with things like district energy, as well as combined heat and power systems. You know, both are, you know, still maybe arguably in their prototypical phases of commercialization. We see examples of combined heat and power and district energy, you know, around here and there. You know, combined heat and power, for those who aren't familiar, uses, you know, clean burning natural gas to generate both heat and electricity simultaneously. So it's a great innovation in that sense. And district energy systems are essentially efficient energy piping networks that heat and cool buildings in a district much more efficiently than if all these buildings were, you know, to have their own dedicated boiler systems, for example. So, you know, all these types of technologies, along with the leading edge HVAC systems that we're exploring and are part of our daily work, we you know, contribute to our work at achieving our climate action goals and just be innovating as a company as a whole. So yeah, that's our work on innovations.
Great, thanks, Jevin. So the final question that we have as part of the presentation today is why choose natural gas? And we're going to have Erin lead the answer to this question.
Why choose natural gas? Well, natural gas is used by commercial customers all over Canada. It continues to be one of the world's safest, reliable, and most popular sources of energy. Heritage Gas is committed to the safety of the communities we serve. We choose reliable, tested materials to build our pipeline system and responsibly distribute natural gas to you. We actually add an odor to the gas, so even the smallest of leaks can be detected and repaired in a timely manner. New systems currently in the marketplace using different gases, such as refrigerant gas, don't have this safety feature. You've heard through the whole webinar, natural gas is the cleanest burning fossil fuel available, with lower greenhouse gas emissions than heating oil, propane, or electricity here in Nova Scotia. Natural gas appliances are up to 98% efficient and cost less to maintain, so you can continue to save over the life of your equipment. Storage tanks are eliminated with use of natural gas, thus freeing up space on your property and potentially leading to lower liability with insurance coverage. And lastly, natural gas is always there when you need it. Because our distribution system runs underground, there's no need to worry about disruptions to delivery caused by bad weather, road, or rail closures. And with that, Lindsay, I'll throw it back to you.
Great, thanks, Erin. So that concludes the Q&A portion that, of our presentation, but I do see that we have a few questions coming through here. So let's take a minute to tackle some of those. Okay, so the first question that I see is a two-part question. So how much does natural gas cost today? And the second part of the question is, what is the equivalent to other energy sources? So who would like to tackle that question?
I can answer.
Great, thanks, Erin.
I think Jevin mentioned earlier that we're quite transparent with our rates. So on our website, you'll find our rate table. For the month of October, the typical commercial customer rate class 1A, the cost of natural gas is $13.55 per gigajoule, and that is equivalent to paying 53 cents a liter for oil, 35 cents a liter for propane, or 5 cents per kilowatt hour of electricity. And those conversion factors, they're also noted on our rate table. 1 gigajoule of natural gas is equal to 26.1 liters of oil, 39.2 liters of propane, or 277.79 kilowatt hours of electricity.
Great, okay. So, and when I follow up this presentation, I will send through, I'll send through some of the links to our website that Erin and Jevin have alluded to. So the next question I see coming through here is, how much does natural gas equipment cost and who sells it? So Jevin, do you want to take that one?
Sure, yeah. How much does natural gas equipment cost? Well, we're not really the experts in the equipment side of things so much, and obviously every job has a lot of variability in the pricing based on what's happening and whatnot. So we have a group of preferred contractors that are awesome. We work with them all the time. They're on our website. They're highlighted on our website. So I would highly recommend that if there are any questions related to getting a quote on equipment for a particular job, I would recommend going to our website and reaching out to one of our preferred contractors to have that discussion. Yeah.
Great. Okay, the next question we have is from a customer standpoint, and it's more of a billing or accounting question. So Heritage Gas, is Heritage Gas able to send e-bills to clients through email attachments instead of reading it from the portal? So just to give a bit of clarification to that, we do offer e-bill to our customers that can be signed up on our website and accessed through a portal. Erin or Jevin, did you want to respond to the ability for e-bill?
I can certainly go back to customer care and pull a little more information on e-billing and how it works. Linz, if you want to grab that contact info, certainly.
I absolutely will. It's my understanding today that the functionality of e-bill is only in the read only in the portal, but there are some changes in the coming year with regards to some of the databases and systems that we'll be using. So giving an answer today doesn't necessarily mean that it will be the same answer in the coming months. So for the person who's asked that question, we'll certainly follow up with you and give you some more information directly from customer care. Okay, so the next question we have is anyone at Heritage Gas investigating natural gas heat pumps? This is a specific technology. Erin or Jevin?
Yeah, absolutely. Our business development crew is always looking at new and innovative technologies. Natural gas heat pumps being pretty much at the forefront. We would really love to see that type of technology make its way to the commercialization phase. I know there's a lot of companies that are you know, getting closer to that stage of commercialization, and getting those paybacks down as much as possible. And you know, again, Heritage Gas has certainly got our fingertips on those technologies, and will, you know, certainly be communicating details on what's what with respect to natural gas heat pumps as soon as, you know, as soon as we become more familiar with what the plan is, so to speak, on that. So
Great.
good question. Yeah.
Great, thanks, Jevin. So the next question we have is, what is the status of the Alton storage project, and how important is the project to stabilizing the cost of gas moving forward? So Aaron or Jevin, who would like to take a stab at answering?
I can take that. The Alton storage project is still in play. Timelines for up and running, I can certainly get back to you on that. But once that comes into play, we're going to have our own storage basin here in Nova Scotia, and that will allow us to purchase an abundance of natural gas when it's at a low cost in the summertime, and store that natural gas and use it in the winter months to help offset the offset high winter costs that we tend to see in the winter time. While supply and demand, we do see all fuels tend to creep up in the winter time when demand is high, but having that storage facility will certainly help eliminate the spikes that we've seen in the past.
Great, thanks, Erin. So we still have some questions coming in, so I'm going to keep going. If you do have any additional questions, pop those in the Q&A box there or in the chat. We're happy to answer those today. So the next question is, are there plans to expand the natural gas distribution system throughout the province of Nova Scotia? So Aaron or Jevin, who would like to tackle that one?
Yes, are we going back and forth, Aaron? Or
It doesn't matter. I can answer this. Expansion is dependent on, is certainly market driven and depends on customer interest and feasibility. We only have franchise rights we're in Amherst, Pictou County, out at the airport, Halifax and Dartmouth. We are, I guess when the timing is right and we have the required commitment to further expand our systems elsewhere, maybe outside of HRM, Truro area, it would have to be economically feasible for us to do so. If you're wondering about an area within HRM, we can certainly chat offline about that, and I can look into that further for you.
That's great, and I'll be including some contact information for Aaron and Jevin following this webinar, so that if you have specific questions about specific areas or equipment or any follow-up questions, you can reach out to them directly. The final question that I have here, and like I said, if you have any additional questions, feel free to pop those in now. But the last one I see is, has Heritage Gas had any interruptions during the COVID-19 pandemic? That's a good question. Aaron or Jevin, who would like to?
I can go ahead, Jeff. What's up to you?
I was just going to say, I mean, the only interruption is that I've been working in my basement for the last but related to the company specifically, Aaron, why don't you?
Sure. Like everyone else, we had to figure out how to get employees set up to work remotely from home, operations staff from home and their vehicle. Additional safety measures, safe procedures, and safe work practices have been put in place, along with additional and new PPE. All things considered, I'd say we've been operating as normally as we can during these strange times. Certainly, like Jevin alluded to, getting used to working from home with new co-workers that like to watch SpongeBob SquarePants and four-legged furry co-workers that howl at you during conference calls. I'm sure everyone else is in the same boat.
Very good. So that's all the questions I see coming in today. I'm just going to double check a quick scan here to make sure I covered everything that everyone was asking. Okay, so this is the contact information for Aaron and Jevin. You can feel free to jot it down, but like I said, I will include their direct phone numbers and email addresses in the follow-up email, hopefully to send that later today or tomorrow. We'd like to thank you all for joining us today, and to follow this presentation, I will include some resources for you. And I wanted to thank Aaron and Jevin for being available from their homes remotely to join us today and provide some insight to natural gas in Nova Scotia and some of the most commonly asked questions. Thank you all for taking the time to listen in. We hope that you have a wonderful day. Thank you so much.